they were just setting some things up. There we go. What's going on? Are we live? Are we live? Does that help? So what I want to do is any fun conspiracy theories, to watch them. I want to watch some fun, unknown, weird conspiracy theory videos. We'll look on Reddit. We'll watch YouTube vids. Let's find these. Let's have some fun. Agree? Sound good? Sound like a plan? Yo, what's good? So like I said, I want to watch videos, go on Reddit, just look up some unknown or unique conspiracy theories. Just some fun, weird stuff that we don't know about. Like recently, I've done a lot of looking into Q. It's very intriguing. Which there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about. So it's time to get woke. Okay, so for some reason, I'm just buffering right now. Buffer. Let me know if you can see this. Is this clear or am I just buffering? Can you see me or am I just buffering? Can you see me or am I just buffering? Let me know. I'm downloading a game and it might be too much. I don't know. Might be too much for my computer. Anyone? Bueller? I think I might stop the download. killing me. Okay, I think I'm gonna pause it. That might be best. There we go. So who's interested? What is this? I don't know why you sent me that. Okay. But okay, going into, let's watch some fun videos. All right, so this is going to be, I want conspiracy theories, share, crazy or not, talked about topics. Yes, it's for kids. No, it's not for kids. YouTube, you're weird. Okay. So before we start, is there anything that you're like, ooh, this is a conspiracy theory that people should talk about or know about or should watch? If so, we'll search it right now. We'll look at it. If not, I'm just going to start going on some that look very interesting, and we're going to go down rabbit holes. I just want to find rabbit holes and go down those things. Anything at all. Again, if there's any crazy stories, anything, like here's one. This is, I've never heard of this, but there's one that says Justin Bieber's reptilian roots conspiracy theory. What is that? So I want stuff like that. Just weird stuff. Let's get woke. Let's find out what's really going on. Are we living in the Matrix? All right. Okay. So let's. Oh, it's gonna be fun. But it would be great if someone had an idea. Otherwise, I'm going to pick one. I'm going to pick probably top 10 conspiracy theories of all time. Or we got 4 utterly ridiculous ones. Yeah, let's do the ridiculous ones. Does that sound good? You like that Justin Bieber one? Okay, let's do it.
Just in case you've ever wondered whether it's actually possible to trace conspiracy theories back to their origins, here's one where you can. In March 2017, a mysterious headline popped up on the internet that read, "Hundreds of fans claim they saw Justin Bieber turn into a giant reptile."
What?
The original website where the article appeared was the dubious Australian news site Perth Now. In the story, several anonymous sources gave colorful descriptions of the supposed incident. Apparently, the Biebs was found shape-shifting at a Perth airport, and hundreds of fans witnessed the pop star undergo this drastic transformation into a slimy lizard person. One memorable quote from the article was from a, quote, local skater, who said that Bieber, quote, was hanging around with this big guy, his bodyguard, I guess, and we were just staring because he kept turning into a huge reptile. His bodyguard was pointing at us, shouting that he'd kick our teeth in if we didn't put our phones away. Another onlooker told the site, quote, there were girls hiding in toilets crying. Guys were running for the exits, jumping into taxis to get out of there. Someone said they saw his eyes go black. Another person claimed the singer grew taller and had gross scales all over his body. Basically, there was chaos, there were phones, and people were recording the entire terrifying scene. Except for one tiny detail. there weren't any videos of this actually happening, and Perth Now removed the article from its site.
Oh.
BuzzFeed News added to the confusion when it first addressed the story and its discrepancies. They were told by Perth Now's head of digital content that the site never even published the piece in the first place. He said that the site doesn't use uppercase on the first letter of every word in the headline, as shown in screen grabs of the story. And besides that, the weather forecast displayed that day wasn't accurate. So, in other words, fake news. Not that this was the first time Bieber has been accused of being part reptile, however. In 2014, The Daily Dot published a story about the pop star's arrest that year, with a video of Bieber looking glum in court. Conspiracy believers noticed something strange about the way Justin blinked in the video, claiming that he was blinking the way only a lizard can. The clip now has more than 3 million views. But Justin Bieber isn't the only famous person who's been accused of being a reptilian. Former BBC sports reporter David Icke, who published an entire collection of books about the conspiracy, is cited as the authority on this theory. Many other prominent individuals have been labeled lizard people according to this theory, including Mark Zuckerberg, Bob Hope, and even Queen Elizabeth. The theory behind the theory is that flesh-eating, shape-shifting extraterrestrial reptilian humanoids were sent here to Earth to enslave the human race. This theory is reminiscent of the classic 50s science fiction film 5 Million Years to Earth, where scientists discover the ancient Martian reptile insect people who colonized our planet millions of years ago and come back to claim it. The author David Icke in his
Okay. I think that's enough of that. This makes me want to look at lizard people. What's lizard people? Lizard people caught on video? What is this? Wait. Queen Elizabeth caught on video and diplomatic. No. I want to see. No. Moment of transformation. Who's some lizard people? Scares away child? No. That's kind of freaky. We need to find some lizard people here. Lizard people they're explained. Okay.
Hi, I'm Matt. And lately, I've been wondering, is there a secret race of reptile people controlling our governments and enslaving humanity? We'll see. Since I was a child, I've been naturally inquisitive, questioning anything and everything that didn't quite make sense. As I grew, I poured countless hours into a number of conspiracy theories. Some of these theories I believe, and some of these theories I don't. But some of them I do. Here, I'll be studying the evidence for and against all of history's mysteries. Doing the work so you don't have to. But you really should do it on your own, like check sources and all that. Okay. On today's episode, Reptilian Conspiracy. If you've been paying attention, you might have heard more and more references to a clandestine reptilian humanoid race. Sound familiar? It's shown up in pop culture with increasing regularity. You've heard it on podcasts, in politics. The theory has even infiltrated the hit romance reality show, Love Island. Just what are all these people talking about? Let's get into it. Okay, so as with nearly any conspiracy theory, there are usually variations in belief, but for the most part, the theory posits that there is a race of reptilians, or lizard people, if you will, and you should, that work in secret to dominate and rule over humans like you and me. Now, while the suggested origin of these lizard people varies from theorist to theorist, some say that they're from Earth, some say that they're from space, some say that they started on Earth, went to space, and came back. The one thing that most folks agree on is that these motherfuckers are evil. So how do these lizard folk go from ruling in secret to getting brought up in Love Island casual contestant conversation? Well, the reptoids can thank former soccer player, sports reporter, and hot take haver David Icke for absolutely and utterly blowing up their spot. It's also worth noting now that David Icke's ideas are kind of problematic and borderline prejudiced, but we'll get to that later. In 1998, David Icke released a book called The Biggest Secret, where two people he interviewed claimed that the British royal family were not in fact humans, but lizard people. Icke also claims that George W. Bush, Henry Kissinger, Bill, and Hillary Clinton, and Bob Hope are lizard people as
I
well.
believe-
Ick says that the
I believe
reptoids are
Hillary
responsible for the
Clinton. She could
JFK
be a lizard.
assassination, Princess Diana's death, and even 9/11. According to Ick, the Anunnaki, an ancient species of prehistoric alien demigods, came from the Orion, Sirius, and Draco constellations, created humans, and then created a reptilian-human hybrid. Making sense, right? Additionally, Ick suggests that lizard people drink human blood, which allows them to shapeshift into human form, allowing them to, I guess, then become a vaudeville legend and have an airport named after them. Ick has written that presidents and prime ministers have either been lizard people themselves or have been possessed or controlled by lizard people, and that they have had control over powerful offices since ancient times, like when Shrek 1 came out. Pretty heavy stuff, right? So what is there that even supports these wild-ass claims? Well, a little bit. Kind of. Maybe. Now, while I'm not all in on the reptilian theory just yet, I will say that it's not untrue that some very powerful people objectively look like lizards. And if you watch enough footage of politicians and high-level CEOs, you will find at least a few frames of them doing odd things. Now, maybe that's because to achieve a high level of success, you kind of just have to throw out being an altogether normal person. Or maybe they're lizard people. What's most interesting is that, and this is a fact, is that a lot of US presidents and very powerful people are related. Very distantly, but related. For example, President Barack Obama is a distant cousin of the Bushes, Gerald Ford, Lyndon B. Johnson, Harry Truman, and James Madison, as well as Winston Churchill. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was related, again very distantly, to 11 other US presidents, including Madison, both Adams, Van Buren, Harrison, Taylor, Grant, the other Harrison, Taft, and of course, the other Roosevelt. I mean, his own wife, Eleanor, was his 5th cousin. Hell, according to genealogy experts at genie.com, you go back far enough, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are related. 19th cousins. So is that evidence of ancient reptilian bloodlines secretly infiltrating and controlling our government? Or is it just kind of, you know, how ancestry works?
Okay, that's fine on that one. How about... I want to see actual lizard people. What is this? I don't know about that. Members of Royal
Free.
House.
Free, free, free.
When your president met our Queen at Buckingham Palace last year, he rolled up in the Beast, a huge reinforced Cadillac built to resist bullets, missiles, even chemical attacks. There were also 200 Secret Service agents in tow, although what they got up to in the evenings is anyone's guess. Buckingham Palace can be a pretty risky venue for visiting dignitaries. Her Majesty, of course, is always perfectly charming, but Monty, Holly, and Willow are a law unto themselves. These 3 little corgi dogs may not look threatening, but they tend to chase people and then bite them. Now, 5 years ago, the Queen herself was spotted with a bandaged wrist after intervening to break up a canine squabble. The wound to the royal hand required 3 stitches. Corgis, of course, were originally bred to help round up cattle, so they usually go for your ankles. And when you see pictures of famous people with their heads bowed down in front of the Queen, they are probably on the lookout for those dogs. But you're thinking, why doesn't she simply lock them up when she's entertaining you? You don't know our Queen.
Man, that was just a weird dude. How did he get so many views? He didn't do anything. Wait, she shape shift?
Hey everybody, we're back with Lady Gaga. The movie's about a lot of things. It's a love story, it's about creativity, but it also ends up being about fame and an artist's relationship to the audience. You have a very intimate...
And substance abuse.
And substance abuse, and about addiction and what that can do and your attempt to save somebody who has a substance addiction. Do you ever feel that you need to be authentic with your audience, but do you ever feel like you have to save something of your own self for fear that you'll lose yourself in their expectations of you?
Well, I've felt that way for a long time. And then I see my big face on that movie screen with no makeup on and my natural hair color, and I'm like, oh, I just gave it away. I mean, you know, I have always liked shapeshift.
Right. Well, that's what I wanted to ask you is that what did it feel like to be so stripped down? It's just you, huge close-ups, no makeup, as you said, your own natural hair. When so many people have got to know you
That's
from.
not a big deal. That's not a big deal. She's just talking about
Books
she's
claims he has
wearing her normal hair. That's not a big deal. Conspiracy theories of Antarctica? Yeah, let's check that out. Because it's just words and that stupid music. Okay, let's move it on. Top 10 craziest JFK conspiracy theories? That would be interesting. 4 utterly ridiculous conspiracy theories? Gotta be ridiculous. That's what I'm looking for. We didn't land
Poisonous
on
government
that's
snow?
for sure.
This conspiracy theory was born in the Peach State in January 2014, when 2 inches fell down on Atlanta. Georgians took to YouTube determined to demonstrate that lighters and blowtorches couldn't destroy the strange frozen stuff. The simplest way to debunk this theory? Just put it in the microwave. Guess what? It melts. According to a recent poll, 1 in 25 people believe the world is run by lizard people. The proof exists in these terrifying YouTube videos revealing news anchors with reptilian eyes. So what's the deal? If a video file is compressed, sped up, and zoomed in, a clever editor can transform any human eye into a menacing lizard-like slit. We warned you. Now be prepared.
Yeah.
So, you don't believe that man has walked on the moon. Fine, we get it, you weren't there. But according to a few conspiracy theorists, it turns out the moon doesn't even exist. It's just a convincing hologram placed in the sky to mess with our heads. Of course, there is proof in another poorly made YouTube video that shows a power glitch in the moon's artificial electrical system. Ah, makes perfect sense. July 14th, 2014, the date that Siri had officially scheduled the apocalypse. That's right, several shocked iPhone users reported the news that Siri told them the ominous date was the appointed time.
Hey Siri, when is the apocalypse?
Okay, I found this on the web for when is the apocalypse. Check it out.
I don't know. Doesn't really say. Okay, let's continue.
For the opening of the gates of Hades. Apple developers are strange birds, but a few weird programmers do not an apocalypse make, and we are fairly confident that Siri has no idea when the world will end.
That was kind of dumb. We need some good ones. Oh wait. Tupac, no. Top 10 modern conspiracy theories? Okay.
Is the truth really out there? Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 modern conspiracy theories. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at theories that came into their own after the year 2000. While some of them may have their roots in the last century or earlier, they qualify for this list if their popularity has peaked in recent years.
Here's a good one.
Number 10, Obama's birth certificate. In 2008, history was made when Barack Obama became the first black president of the United States. However, a worryingly high number of Americans refused to believe that Obama was one of their own, and claimed the new president was born in a different country,
Yeah, he was born in
meaning his
Kenya.
presidency was against the
He
Constitution.
even said it himself.
In an
I've
attempt to
seen 2
stamp out
videos.
these ideas, Obama released his long-form birth certificate. But this hasn't stopped many theorists from calling the document a forgery and continuing to suggest that Obama is a foreigner. Number 9. Holocaust deniers.
That's
These are people who, for a myriad of different reasons, refuse to believe that the mass extermination of Jewish people and other vulnerable minorities carried out by the Nazis actually happened. Ironically, the Holocaust also happens to be one of the most well-documented tragedies in world history. The Nazis meticulously recorded everything they did, and when Allied soldiers discovered the concentration camps, they gathered extensive evidence of the horrors they witnessed in the form of videos and photographs. Not to mention the thousands of survivors who have talked about their horrific experience and still bear their tattoos. Number 8. Tools of control. In the mid-20th century, governments began fluoridating the public water supply, as scientific studies proved that in small enough amounts, fluoride, a main ingredient in toothpaste, was harmless, tasteless, and could help prevent cavities. But there are people who believe that fluoride is actually a dangerous chemical the world's governments are using to control the population for some kind of ambiguous financial gain. Similar theories are used as the basis for the anti-vaxxer movement, which has led to new outbreaks of diseases like measles.
Yep.
Anti-vaccination beliefs stem from misinformation published by a now struck-off doctor that the measles vaccine causes autism.
It does.
However,
My sister's
there's absolutely
autistic.
no evidence supporting this. Number 7. The Earth is flat.
It is flat.
Millennia ago, before people
This is
began to
great.
understand more about physics and the universe at large, the general assumption was that the Earth was flat. In the last 200
believe the
years,
Earth is
however,
flat.
the idea that the Earth is flat has gained more and more traction.
We should watch some of those
Bizarrely,
videos.
the more things we learn about the universe, the more people join the flat earther cause, seemingly ignoring all the photographic and scientific evidence proving that the Earth is a globe. They claim that it's impossible to see the curvature of the Earth, that all the photos of the planet are fake, and that every astronaut is an actor in on the elaborate hoax. Number 6. Mass shootings are fake. In the US especially, mass shootings are seemingly becoming more and more prevalent. But there are those who believe that these shootings don't actually happen, going so far as to accuse shooting survivors of being actors. Believers claim
There
that the
are
shootings are
crisis
entirely
actors.
staged by people looking to abolish the Second Amendment and impose stricter gun control regulations on America, making people unable to defend themselves. These shootings themselves are already tragic enough, but the people on social media who claim that they never happened only add insult to injury. Number 5. QAnon. It's no surprise that one of the strangest conspiracy theories of the modern era originated on 4chan, where various predictions and accusations have been posted online since late 2017. QAnon has incorrectly predicted that Hillary Clinton would be arrested and claimed that Kim Jong-un and his regime are under the control of the CIA. They've even accused many big names, ranging from Hollywood actor Tom Hanks to a selection of high-ranking politicians, of being involved in sex trafficking. Similar to this was 2016's Pizzagate scandal, where it was alleged that the Democrats were
This sounds
operating a
touchy.
pedophile ring out of a pizza joint. All of these claims remain utterly baseless. Number 4. The FDA is withholding the cure for cancer. Big Pharma is often seen as a shadowy villain hiding in the dark, while overcharging people for life-saving medicine. And
They
it's this perception
reused
that's
this
contributed to the theory that
video already.
pharmaceutical companies have the cure for cancer. More specifically, they've had the cure for cancer for years and are purposely withholding it from the public until they can find a way to make a big enough profit. However, it would take far too many people to keep the cancer cure secret than is reasonably possible.
Paid needles.
Number 3. Chemtrails. Planes flying overhead will
Chemtrails?
often leave trails
Yeah.
behind them in the sky, and these trails have been jumped on by many conspiracy theorists. There's a range of different reasons behind what exactly chemtrails are. Some claim that they're spraying mind control chemicals in order to suppress the population, while others say that they're part of an elaborate scheme to control the weather. However, in the aviation industry, they're actually called contrails, as in condensation trails. According to scientists,
But they don't
they're created
last for
naturally,
hours.
as hot jet fuel meets cool air,
That is such
and
a
are
lie.
little more than water vapor.
I don't like this
Number
Watch
2.
Mojo.
New World Order. Another idea that's been popular for generations is that the entire world is being controlled by an unseen shadow government or secret society. While a few have suggested that this group is actually made up of nefarious lizard people disguised as the world's elite, the more common belief is that the Illuminati is running things. While the original Illuminati was a real group, they only had any kind of power in the late 1700s. Today, however, the idea that either the Illuminati or some other clandestine group are trying to create a totalitarian New World Order still persists among many people. Number 1. 9/11 was an inside job. The attack on the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001 was a tragedy that shook the world, leading to a death toll of nearly 3,000 and escalating conflict in the Middle East. But there are those out there who don't believe the story that Al-Qaeda was responsible, despite Osama bin Laden taking credit for the attack, and instead think that 9/11 was an inside job. They think it was perpetrated.
Okay. Let's do animation. Da, 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 da. I always wondered how. Oh, good night, Hunter. Good night. I always wondered how a plane can take down these strong steel beams. Still doesn't make any sense. Let's do this. Anything? There's gotta be some good videos. It's like they're hiding all the good ones. These are all just regular TV ones. Where's like the good stuff? Okay. We'll do Shane Dawson here. He does good ones. He does pretty good ones.
Warning. What you are about to watch may make you question everything you thought you knew. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back. Now, today we're going to be talking about a lot of different types of conspiracy theories. We're going to be talking about Cardi B and some possible connections to MK Ultra. And we're even going to be going out into the world and exploring a conspiracy involving one of my favorite places ever, Target. Now, before we get started, I just have to mention that all of these are theories, none of them are facts, and they're not meant to hurt any company or person. All right, let's get started. Now, I know you're thinking, Shane, how is there a conspiracy theory about mattress stores? Well, I'm going to let you know that this is one of the most convincing theories I have ever heard, and this is also why I had to do that legal statement at the beginning of this video. Now, if you look around your city, you've probably noticed how many mattress stores there are. When you go to Google and you type in "why are there," one of the first results is so many mattress stores. And you've probably noticed when you walk by them, there's nobody inside. Now, one of the mattress stores that you see most frequently is called Mattress Firm. Well, just check out this theory that was posted on Reddit. Mattress Firm is some sort of giant money laundering scheme. They are fucking everywhere and always empty. I remember seeing 4 mattress firms all on each corner of an intersection once. There is no way there's such a demand for mattresses. And then they posted a Google Maps link, and it was insane. Yeah, 20 results for mattress firms, all in the same location. Some of them are literally across the street from each other. Now, the way I found out about this conspiracy was actually through my cameraman and friend Andrew. He told me a couple years ago he was visiting his hometown in Algonquin, and he noticed that there were 3 mattress firms on the same street. So I decided to pull up Google Maps and check it out myself. All right, mattress firm near Algonquin. Boom, 3 on the same street. Now, just to show you how close they are to each other, let's look at the satellite view. All right, here's the first store. Now we're just gonna go up the street, 2 clicks, and then boom, there's the second one. I mean, that's crazy, and he's not the only person that has noticed this. There are tons of videos of people driving around their city showing how close and how many mattress firms there are.
I need a mattress. There's a store. I need a mattress. There's another store. It's a good day to buy a mattress. So I got mattress stores everywhere to choose from. I need a mattress. Hey, it's another store.
Now, the Reddit theory said that mattress stores might actually be laundering money, and that's why there's so many of them. All right, so first let's talk about money laundering and what that means. So if you get money through doing illegal things like selling drugs or guns or terrorism or prostituting, you make a lot of money that you don't want traced. You don't want the cops to find out what you're doing. You don't want to get taxed on it. So you have to find a way to hide the money. And sometimes you can do that by buying a business. For example, years ago, Al Capone, one of the biggest gangsters of all time, decided to put all of his illegal money he made into laundromats. Now, laundromats are a cash flow business, right? People come in, they pay with cash, they get their quarters, they do their laundry, they leave. Well, that way he could say, oh, wow, we got $10,000 today from people doing their laundry. Let's put that in the books. Okay, great. When in reality, no, they probably made $1,000. And that is where the name laundering came from the word laundromats. So the theory is that mattress stores might be the new laundromat. Think about it this way. You only buy mattresses once every 7 to 10 years. So why are there more mattress stores on one street than there are grocery stores or Starbucks?
There is another mattress firm. I kid you not. There is 2 mattress firms in the same basic complex, folks.
Also, there's no customers ever inside of the stores because the stores aren't real. They're just a cover-up. Once again, just a theory, not a fact. Don't sue me. Now, when people are laundering money in banks, they usually separate it into $10,000 chunks, and then they'll put it in a bunch of different banks. So when you think about the mattress stores, it would kind of make sense why there was 3 on the same street, because maybe they're all owned by the same person and he's spreading his money out 3 different ways so he doesn't look so suspicious. Oh, and just a side note, another way to hide money that you've gotten illegally is by hiding it in different places in your house. Well, guess what the #1 place to hide money is? Mattresses! I'm just saying, it's a weird coincidence. But now that you know this, I bet when you drive around your city, you'll notice the crazy amount of mattress stores and the crazy amount of no customers inside of them.
Another mattress firm. What is going on? It's an infestation.
Okay, I want to continue with this one because that is good. So I want to look up mattress store laundering conspiracy. This is really good. Is that it? All you hear is bankruptcy. Okay, this is a little bit.
Have you ever noticed when you're driving that you felt like you're having deja vu because you see a mattress firm and then you see one like 10 minutes later when you're on the same street?
Yes, that is so true.
Shane Dawson's recent conspiracy video talked about the conspiracy of mattress firm, and there are so many mattress firms in everyone's area. Take a moment right now and look on your phone and just search Google Maps mattress firms and look at how many.
Wait. Let's do it. Maps. Okay. I want to do mattress firm, right? It's not bad, but there are 3 right there. You kidding me? Why? Why? There's 3 mattress firms right there. That's crazy. Okay, I wanted to see. Okay, let's go.
There are near you, just within an hour or so, or just within like blocks of each other. It's insane. And it really got me thinking, like, why are there so many mattress stores, especially when there are all these influencers who are getting sent free mattresses from these companies that only sell online or in their own stores. They don't sell to stores such as Mattress Firm, meaning that less people are going to Mattress Firm to buy mattresses. And also, how many people are buying mattresses anyway? Is there like such a demand? So why would people go there to buy their mattress when they could just order it online because they heard all these good things from this person that they trust? And those brands don't even sell to Mattress Firm, so you can't even buy them when you go into a Mattress Firm, which is so convenient because there's like 2 within blocks of each other.
Oh my god. The internet's favorite mattress company ever. Oh!
And it's weird because now, especially with social media, I would never go into a mattress store such as Mattress Firm for a mattress. I would go online and I would find a...
So the last mattress that I purchased was back in like 2014. Purchased a mattress. There was nobody there, absolutely nobody, except a salesman and a manager. Nobody was there. Okay.
Cooler company such as like Casper or something like that doesn't sell to Mattress Firm, so you couldn't go into a Mattress Firm and get like a Casper mattress or a brand like that. Brands that influencers get sent for free so that they promote them and then they get their exposure that way rather than being sold at a Mattress Firm. They don't go to a store. I mean, they will, but like the cooler brands aren't getting sold in Mattress Firm.
Oh my god. So you know how I pointed that one out on the corner? Like people don't need mattresses that often.
Do you guys know what money laundering is?
Uh-huh.
You get it for the twin price. We've never done that sale before. Backside stomach sleepers.
Oh, she went in one.
Green beds are a medium feel, not too soft, not too firm. Here's what I would do for you. In addition to the great sale, give you a little bit of a multiple bed discount as well.
Very cool.
Did you have a price range in mind?
Mm-hmm.
Really good time to come in and buy a bed.
Okay, cool. Okay. Cool.
You test drive cars, right?
Ooh, this one I'm like sinking in.
Just because if the mattress is too firm,
Some children in here. Okay.
I do have some basic pillows.
I mean, they really don't have to sell anything.
We're gonna
Stay open
jump on
for
that.
more money.
Jump on it.
At that sale price, even at regular price, I am cheaper than Casper.
We're gonna have to sleep on it. No pun intended.
$79. That's what I do have to pay the guys.
How long do you think, like, usually you should keep a mattress for?
So all these beds have a
People are shopping for a mattress every single day, to where there needs to be one on like every
time. The concept of it, but proof. Laundering and money proof. I have the word money in there. Is there any of them? Any of them? Video evidence? I don't think so. Here, let's check this one.
Hey guys, It's Ben, aka Booty Plans here, with a new series that I like to call Conspiracies and Secrets.
There is nothing.
Now the series is going to go into a little bit about like conspiracies that have surfaced over the web, for example, stuff like the Denver Airport, MK Ultra, stuff like that. And then secrets like cryptids like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, or just some paranormal shit that I find interesting. And that
He's just trying to be Shane Dawson. Let's try this.
Hi, just quickly, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like on this video, and if you could subscribe, I really would appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome to Entrepreneur News. I'm your host, the one and only, the true Alex J. Today we're going to be answering the question, why are there so many mattress stores in America? I know there was a lot of people on Reddit asking this question, and why are there so many mattress stores? If you've ever been to America, you'll notice that there seems to be mattress stores everywhere. But there is actually a reason behind this, and I really do want to dive into it. So this story actually starts, someone on Reddit said, why are there so many mattress stores in America? And what they did was they then posted a picture, and I'll show this picture here. And as you can see, there seems to be a lot of mattress stores in one place. On Tuesday, a Reddit comment that suggests mattress firms were laundering money went viral before being removed. Reddit users said that the company is overstored in the US and suggests that this was a sign of something more dubious going on. The mattress firm has responded to Business Insider about the allegations, saying that they're absolutely false. I was doing a bit of research into this because this conspiracy theory just went rampant. Everyone was saying, you know, I've seen loads of mattress stores where I live as well. You know, there's like 5 on the corner, and people were talking about, you know, there's stores on the opposite sides of the road and they could literally wave at each other, but there's so many of them. There can't be that many people purchasing mattresses. So let me go into the side of the conspiracy theorists, and then I'll explain the logic behind it in a minute. So the conspiracy theorists, and believe me, when I first read it, I was kind of siding with them for a moment. I thought, you know, this kind of is weird. The whole concept was the fact that there's so many stores and people don't buy that many mattresses, right? So a mattress, you typically buy one every 10 years, but there seems to be more mattress stores than Starbucks. But obviously Starbucks, people are buying them every single day. A mattress, you know, there's some stores that would be empty and you can't imagine people buying them every day. It seems like a disproportionate amount of supply and demand. It just seems like there's so much supply.
Wait. So here's something with Business Insider. Look at this. Let's see if it'll pop it up. Okay. Here. Look at this. So, I guess they filed for bankruptcy. So Mattress Firm is the largest specialty mattress retailer in the US. Some argue that the company has too many stores, right? Sometimes in high concentrations. A comment on Reddit that suggested that Mattress Firm was laundering money went viral, and then it was removed. And then Mattress Firm's parent company recently disclosed accounting irregularities. That's interesting. Okay. Mattress Firm is some sort of giant money laundering scheme, a Reddit user wrote. I remember seeing 4 mattress firms all in the corner in one intersection. So, look at this. Okay. That is funny. That's like more than any Starbucks that's around there. That's gotta be, that is not normal. So the South African retailer Steinhoff bought Mattress Firm for $3.8 billion in 2016. At the time, analysts are skeptical of why Steinhoff had forked over so much money for a business and increasingly threatened by new startups such as Casper. Towards the end of the year, the stock price tanked 62% in one day, wiping out $15 billion in market value. Dang. One day. After citing the accounting irregularities. Its two top executives and chairman resigned. Yeah, so they had no answer. They just had no answer. It probably happened. Probably happened. Okay, so let's continue with Shane Dawson, what he says, and then we can jump on another tangent.
Cardi B has blown up this year. She's become one of the most famous people in the world, and it happened very fast. Her hit song, Bodak Yellow, only came out in June of last year. But she's already nominated for Grammys on every single magazine cover, and one of the most famous rappers ever. Now this clip I'm going to show you, I didn't take seriously at all, but the more I watched it, the more weird it seemed. This is her being interviewed on a red carpet, and then this happens.
Feeling great, I feel nervous, a little bit overwhelmed. I feel a little shaky, I don't know what's wrong with me. No, but it's good though. It's good. You're gonna be good. It's a good feeling. Look great.
Weird, right? Like maybe she was just joking or something, but isn't it weird that she went into that hypnotic trance and then when she came out of it, she didn't even reference it? Like she didn't laugh or say like, haha, sorry, that was a joke. Just watch it again.
I feel a little shaky, I don't know what's wrong with me. No, but it's good though. It's good. You're gonna be good. It's a good feeling. Look great.
It's weird, right? Like the more you watch it, the more you're like, what? Now this got a lot of people saying that there might be some ties with her and the Illuminati, or maybe she's under mind control. I mean, she did become extremely famous very fast, which the Illuminati tends to be able to make happen. Well, first there's a video of her from before she got really famous where she said this.
I love my family, but man, Illuminati, which one of my cousin you want for that dick? Yeah.
Well, then she posted a video on her Instagram where she was doing the devil horn with her hand. And then there's tons of other pictures out there of her doing the devil horn, or her doing the 666 by her eye. In this video, she's singing something in Spanish, and you can clearly hear her say the word Illuminati.
Muchos me quieren bajar, pero no voy a caer. Muchos me quieren bajar, pero no voy a caer. No entiendo. Bajé con el flow Illuminati.
Well, that was on March 10th, 2016. And then 1 year later, in June of 2017, Bodak Yellow came out and became one of the biggest hits of all time. Now, Cardi has talked about the Illuminati a lot throughout her career.
Bajé con el flow Illuminati.
But one thing she said during a live stream was pretty scary.
If something happened to me, just know that the government tried to kill me because I believe that America be trying to kill you.
So she basically said that when her parents turn 60, she's going to move them out of the US and send them to the Dominican Republic.
I want to move my parents out of America. Like, let me tell you something. Like, my grandmother from my mother's side, she died when she was 75 because she used to live here in America. If you go to the island country, people be 105 years old, 100 and some shit years old.
So she's basically saying that the US is trying to kill you sooner. Now, her reasoning is the food industry. She thinks that organic food is a joke.
How do lettuce and how do fruits last so long out here? How? How does it travel from places to places and last so long? I don't give a fuck if they say that the chicken and the food is organic. I don't believe it's organic. Like, I don't believe nothing here is organic. I feel like they trying to kill you.
I mean, she's not wrong. The amount of preservatives that we're getting on our food, the amount of chemicals that they're putting in the air right over our heads. It's not a surprise that people in the US die sooner than people outside.
So, like, my grandmother, she was diabetic, right? Like, they used to give her 10 to 12 pills a day. How is that normal? So that's why I feel like this country just they be wanting to kill people. So many things that I just don't be understanding, and I'm realizing it.
Now, I got this email from a viewer named Julie. She said, what if these famous people aren't cloned, but they're hypnotized? I mean, the Illuminati could completely control what they said and did. And then she went on to talk about the movie Get Out, where all those people in the movie were being hypnotized and controlled, and they'd have moments of snapping out of it.
The chores have become my sanctuary.
Who's controlling it? Well, if you look back at that clip of her on the red carpet, you look behind her, you see two women and a man who are not looking that way, but when she starts to glitch, they look over, and then Cardi comes back to normal.
No, but it's good though. It's good. You're gonna be good. It's a good feeling.
It's It's weird. I mean, listen, I don't know who those people are. They might not even know her. But it's not that crazy to think about the fact that there might be somebody around a celebrity at all times to keep them in their hypnotized zone. I mean, celebrities always have an assistant and an agent and a chauffeur. Well, what if the purpose for that posse is to keep them under hypnosis? But then what if one of the celebrities goes rogue and they break out of their hypnosis and they've spent so long being a puppet that they don't even know who they are anymore, and then they act out? And if you think about it, that seems to happen quite a lot, especially to extremely famous musicians.
And all of a sudden, Britney Spears came in and sat in my chair and said, I want to shave my hair off. She had no emotions in her face.
So the way I found out about this theory was super random. One morning I was watching a YouTuber named Alicia Marie, and she was vlogging her day, and then this happened.
Da 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 da. 12:13 p.m. Guys, I really need to change my background. It's still Christmas themed. Wait, oh my god. Wait, do you see that? What is that? Is someone recording me? Wait, on camera, you see that like blinking thing? I don't see that in person at all. What?
Yeah, weird, right? I had never heard of anybody saying that they noticed a blinking red light on their phone. Well, then after that, I started looking into it, and it's on all the iPhone X's. Now, of course, the theory is that that light means that it is recording you at all times. But then some people are saying, no, 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 that's just the Face ID, and it's always on because it's looking for your face. And that makes sense. It does look to be making a cylinder shape around your face. And it's not just one light. This is what it looks like in the dark when you use your Face ID. Thousands of little dots going all around you, coming from that one little light. Okay, so theory's over, right? It's just the Face ID light. But then I saw this.
So this is the iPhone, and I'm guessing you guys saw the flashing red light up there. It has to be the camera.
Huh? Like, that doesn't make any sense. The iPhone 7 does not have a Face ID. Why is there still the red blinking light that's hidden? I mean, we pretty much already know that our iPhone is recording everything we're saying.
Do you record and store everything I say and text on my phone?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I can't answer that.
But who would have thought it would be recording everything it sees? So of course I started having a full-on mental breakdown and panic attack. And then I saw a user on Reddit say this. That's the proximity sensor. It's how the phone knows you're holding it up to your face when you're on a phone call, so it can black out the screen and prevent your cheek from pressing buttons. It uses infrared, which is the reason your camera can see it, but your eyes can't. And then they went on to say that you can also see this blinking red light in your remote controls.
You can't see it in real life, but you can only see it with phones and cameras.
Which makes a lot of sense because your remote control is based on a sensor. So this theory might not be true, but I still believe that my phone is recording everything I'm saying. After what Apple did with admitting that they purposely slow down our old phones, I don't trust anything.
Siri, would you lie to me?
I'd rather not say.
Now, we have talked about 9/11 conspiracy theories before. 9/11 theories are what got me into conspiracies.
Way to go, wait, sorry.
Oh! And it's not just me. A huge percentage of the population believes these theories too. I mean, even President Bush has slipped up a few times and almost said the word conspiracy himself.
Mr. President, I do want to get right to the news of the terrorism in Boston.
Well, at first, I was deeply concerned that there might have been a organized plot. This could have been, another highly organized attack on the country.
Like, why would he even think to say that word? Now, one of the biggest theories is that it wasn't just planes flying into the buildings, that there was bombs planted as well. Yeah. But of course the government said, no, it was just the two terrorists in the planes. But some people think that Bush and the government actually coordinated it themselves, and that there were bombs placed in the building beforehand because they wanted both buildings to come down.
The building has collapsed. That tower just came down.
Now, of course, the theory is that the government created this awful disaster so that we would be okay with going to war with Afghanistan. But today we're going to be focusing on the bombs. The day that 9/11 happened, everybody was saying that they heard bombs.
The ladies that are with me were in the World Trade Center in the first building and escaped through the lobby where they report they believe there was a bomb in the lobby. And as we were coming out, we passed the lobby. There was no lobby. So I believe the bomb hit the lobby first.
Even firemen said it.
Bomb in the building, start clearing out. Bomb in the building, start clearing out.
Even Donald Trump, who had a lot of power in New York at the time, said he thought it was bombs.
I happen to think that they had not only a plane, but they had bombs that exploded almost simultaneously.
Now this is where it gets crazy. One of the survivors from 9/11 was a janitor at the World Trade Center. His name was William Rodriguez, and he had worked there for 20 years. Now he came out and said that he heard bombs before the plane even hit.
I believe that censorship started from the very beginning, because when I was telling my story, they told me, oh, cut this out, cut this out.
It was the first hijacked plane that hit the...
It was the first hijacked plane. No, hello, that was an explosion before 9/11, before the plane hit the tower.
Now in 2004, the powers in charge came out and said that there were no bombs. Well, just listen to this audio clip and tell me that you don't hear a bomb going off before the buildings collapse.
People at their gas pumps who turned to look at the smoke that was coming from the city, folks stepping out of bodegas and stores to look.
Come on, that's a bomb. You could see explosions coming out of the sides of the buildings, but of course the government says no. Now, this is where it gets really crazy, but somehow seems believable. Some people believe that there were no planes at all, and that it was just bombs, and that all the clips that we saw in the news of planes flying into the towers were CGI. I know, it's crazy, but just look at some of these videos.
The airplane did disappear like a bad special effect.
Hold on. Ooh, this is good. Okay, let's go.
Effect. Exactly like a bad special effect.
A good special effect would have parts exploding and bouncing off and tumbling to the streets below.
First, let's look at this clip of what people are calling ghost plane.
The plane appears to pass through steel columns and the steel and concrete floors, like a ghost. It doesn't twist, bend, slow down, break, or explode.
Now this plane goes right through the building, like a knife through butter. And I know what you're thinking, Shane, yeah, it's a plane going really fast. Of course it would go right through a building. Well, years before this happened, the government was testing to see what would happen if they flew a plane into a big metal wall, and it was at the speed of which a normal plane flies. And this happened.
It's doing 500 miles an hour. It just disappeared into dust.
The plane disintegrated, disappeared, but then when it hit the World Trade Center, it went right through with no issues.
I said, how could a plane, even a 767 or 747 or whatever it might have been, how could it possibly go through this deal?
Now look at this angle of it. You'll see the plane flying through the building, and then you'll see the nose of the plane come out the other side. Okay, you saw that, right? The big nose of the plane come right through the other side.
Completely in one side and out the other.
It's physically impossible for the nose of a Boeing 767 airplane to emerge intact.
Well, after the smoke cleared, it was seen that there was no exit hole. That's right, no exit hole, where the nose of the plane supposedly went right through it. Nothing. And that's why a lot of people think that it might have been CGI. And this is the other weird part. In most of the clips that are online, it goes black for a split second right when the plane hits. Well, this person took all of the news clips and synced them together at the same time. And this happened. Yeah, all of them black for a split second. Not to mention that on some news channels, you didn't even see a plane. You just saw the moment of the explosion right afterward.
And the 1 second that would show the fate of Pinocchio's nose has been edited out. Why would the Now Day brothers remove that little piece of video?
It didn't show the moment of the plane actually hitting. It like would go somewhere else or it would cut off or something. Maybe that's because there was no planes and it was just bombs. Not to mention another clip that was circulating that was on the news where you can literally see one of the wings of the planes disappear. Just disappear, glitch. Now listen, I don't know if I believe the theory that all the planes on the news were just CGI'd. That seems a little far-fetched, but I definitely believe there were bombs. I mean, come on.
Once the plane hit the top, then that's when the bomb is going off on the first floor.
So who are you gonna believe? The government who lies to you about everything? Or people who are literally there? Okay, this is my favorite theory of all time, and I 100% believe in it. Have you ever been into a store and you tried on an outfit and you looked in the dressing room mirror and you thought, wow, I look great, I'll buy it. And then you took it home and you put it on and you said, ew. Yeah, that might have to do with the mirrors in the dressing rooms. Now on the show Shark Tank, there was a company called Skinny Mirror. And if you go to their website, it says this. The Skinny Mirror offers a subtle and believable slimming reflection, 5 to 10 pounds. And then they show comparison pictures of what you look like versus what you look like in the Skinny Mirror. Oh, and by the way, their slogan is, "You are beautiful." What? They also have a section on their website where retail stores can buy mirrors from them. The Skinny Mirror is an ideal solution for dressing rooms. The subtle yet believable slimming reflection will improve the attitude of your customers' self-image, body image, increasing overall sales. So that's not even a theory. Some stores might possibly have them. But here's where my theory comes in. I love Target. I buy everything from Target. But I look so much better in Target dressing room mirrors, and it makes me buy clothes, and then I take them home and I hate the way they look. So I want to go to Target and investigate and see if they're using skinny mirrors. Okay, so we're in the car on our way to Target. You have no idea what we're doing, right?
No, I thought we were going to Taco Bell.
We'll do that after Target. We also have in the back seat Ryland's sister Morgan. That's me. How do you feel when you look at a mirror?
Oh, it's not good.
Well, we're gonna go in the dressing room, take pictures in our clothes, and then go back home and take pictures in the normal mirror. All right, let's go.
The Skinny Mirror design offers a subtle, believable slimming reflection designed to help you feel good about your body.
All right, let's do my least favorite thing in the world. Let's go look in some mirrors. There it is. Oh my god. Me when I see the fitting room. Okay, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm trying on this.
Shane, this is a plus size girl shirt.
I know. Perfect. Alright, here's the mirror. I mean, honestly, without even taking the picture yet, I can tell you that I am not this thin. Oh my god. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, let's take a picture. Ew. Okay, I need to take it at the same exact angle that I'm going to take it at home.
Okay.
So, right here. Do you want to? I was going to say, do you want to take one too, but no. Oh, Morgan.
Oh, that is not an angle. Do you want me to do like a side angle too?
Oh yeah, good idea.
Hold on, let me breathe for a second so I can suck it in.
Take one in this mirror too.
Oh, this one's worse.
Let me just see if I feel skinnier. I can't tell.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go home and take the same pictures and see if we look fatter. Alright, you ready to go to the mirror?
Let me button my pants back up first.
Alright, let's go to the one upstairs. Maybe can you have it straight? Okay, so let's put them side by side.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
It's like in the arms. It's like.
That just triggered me. Oh my god, my legs look so much smaller in the Target one.
It is drastically different.
Everything.
Like if we zoomed in the way
triggered. Now listen, this could be like a lighting situation.
Yeah, either they have bomb lighting or skinny ass mirrors.
Alright, here's the next one. My legs look so much smaller in the Target one. Alright, now let's do you. You ready?
Oh my god. Like in this one, a boy would be like, yes, and this one, a boy would be like, oh my god, bye. No, that's Tinder versus real life.
Okay, so let's go to the other one.
Oh my gosh. I look like I could have like a thigh gap in this one.
It's not like so drastic that it's insane.
It's 5 to 10 pounds. That's what the skinny mirrors say, 5 to 10 pounds. I don't think Target says they use skinny mirrors because I think legally they have to.
What, it would say objects in mirrors seem smaller than they appear?
Me on social media.
Well, mystery solved. But still, just a theory, not a fact. Don't sue me, Target. I love you. Okay, bye. Yeah, the Tide Pod Challenge. Something that has been going so viral lately.
Crazy.
And I just didn't know why.
Many are looking to become what's called YouTube famous, but a local doctor said...
Okay, we're gonna get off this one. We're gonna look at other 9/11 bomb theory. Man, what's horrible is YouTube does not have anything other than Shane Dawson. See anything here? Ooh, 9/11 Truth Part 6? Okay. That means that there's...
Hi, it's time for another math easy solution. To discuss further into the 9/11 Truth video series. Now look at part 6. And this is a video I didn't want to make right now, but I thought I just felt the need to do it. And it's going to be on controlled opposition. Look at the mini nukes and Building 7, the demolition hoax, and the AE 9/11 Truth, or the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth movement, how it's a complete hoax and disinfo, etc. Plus much more. It's going to be a pretty epic video, so buckle up. And also, as always, if you don't have time to watch the whole video, you could skip to the end for summary conclusions, or play this video at a faster speed. And top secret life hack, your brain gets used to faster speed. Try 2 times speed on YouTube. It's absolutely amazing. And also, you can download, read the notes, or read these notes on Steam. It'll be on there, so yeah, get on Steam. And you can just watch the video in part. It doesn't be all at once. So let's just jump right in and look at the topics to cover. And also, before I get to that, part 4, make sure to watch that. It's a Dr. Judy Wood litmus test, and this video is, that I'm going to do right now is it's pretty much an illustration of why you need to use this all the time.
Cool. No, I appreciate that.
Because there's so much disinfo out there, and you need some sort of benchmark or anchor to keep you afloat.
Since you're
the Dr.
now
Judy Wood
is there anything
test. So now let's look at topics to cover. So 9/11 Truth updates. I'll include an important note on why I'm making this video. Also, update to my 2020 U.S. elections prediction update, and where I predicted in my last video that Trump wins again. But this time I'm going to predict against Hillary Clinton, and the reason's going to be pretty ridiculous because politics is a complete joke. So, and also part 4, I'm going to go, not everything that goes boom is a bomb. And then I'm going to go over a recap of the Stephen Jones and cold fusion cover-up from my free energy video series, and basically talk about the murder of cold fusion researcher and Stephen Jones critic Eugene Malov, murder of Dr. Judy Wood's student Michael Zabur after exposing Stephen Jones' lies
and if you have a video,
about
just
molten aluminum or glowing aluminum, etc. And also go over Dr. Judy Wood's receiving a threatening email after Michael's death. Yeah, that's actually happening. You can't make this stuff up. And also going to go over the 9/11 quote truth movement and censorship of Dr. Judy Wood, as well as then jump into architects and engineers for 9/11 quote truth, how they're controlled opposition. Also, go over their methodology and strategy that they employ to basically steer everyone away from the truth.
This is gonna blow your mind.
Why do you believe what you believe? Because
At some point in your life, you trusted the information that somebody was giving you. And that someone you trusted told you that a car was a car, a tree was a tree, a bird was a bird, the blue stuff above you.
Let me tell you what this is about. This is about the CIA and Hollywood working together pretty much since the 20s and 30s, when video or film became something that could be used for creating a narrative, creating the thought. So
you as the sky,
very
and that's the way that we began to determine what we believe to be a fact.
It's called Out of Shadows Official.
Most of the things that we believe to be a fact in our lives are told to us through our stories or the news that we hear. So my question would be, if they were deceiving you with the stories they tell you, would you be able to recognize that?
So we've all heard the term conspiracy theory. Personally, for me, I've never really had time to get into any of that because, frankly, I'm working all the time and I don't have the time to look into Bigfoot or aliens or
German
flat
Nazi.
Earth or 9/11 conspiracy or the JFK assassination. It's just, it's not anything that I really have any backstory on. But the one thing that I do have a lot of backstory on, the one thing I do know a lot about is Hollywood.
When you think about the entertainment industry, what comes to mind? Movies, TV, music, right? Great. Let's talk about this entertainment.
I've been observing you.
What if this entertainment was more than just entertainment?
Now in complete control!
When you're driving home from work, what are you listening to? When you come home after a long day and turn on the TV, what do you see?
The U.S. are bracing. Saying that they're one.
Think about all the content you've seen throughout your whole life. A lot of it has actually made us who we are today.
So you don't know what's really going on.
Have you ever stopped for just a second, though, and questioned the content? The only thing we consume more than content is air. But we actually think about the quality of the air we breathe. Maybe it's time to take a closer look at our content.
And fear. Taxes.
Our government's always controlled our content.
The fight for freedom.
We've just never paid attention.
Freedom of speech.
Walt Disney.
Message received.
The police occupy our community.
We work with the CIA to destabilize foreign countries.
This media that we're consuming at such a rapid rate, we need to slow down and think about what we're consuming.
Bullshit going on.
What if the people in charge didn't have our best interests in mind? Now we have to ask ourselves, who's influencing our content?
Is the CIA involved in Hollywood?
Yes.
Boom. Yes. Yeah, it's crazy.
Come ahead. I'm rolling. Go. That's good right there. He's picking up speed. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Go, go, go.
So for the past 28 years, I've probably had one of the coolest jobs in the world. I was a professional stunt performer. I've worked with some of the biggest stars. I've got to be Batman. I've got to be James Bond. I've won World Stunt Awards. I am in the Screen Actors Guild. I'm in the DGA. I'm in the WGA. And last year, I got into the Academy, the Oscars. I worked my way up from being a stuntman to being a fight coordinator, to being a stunt coordinator, to being a second unit director. First big job I get, I'm on Batman Forever. And I'm walking around set and I'm pinching myself. I'm looking over, there's Tommy Lee Jones, there's Jim Carrey, there's Val Kilmer, there's Drew Barrymore, there's Nicole Kidman. And I'm like,
it's the connection between CIA and
how did
Hollywood.
it get here?
It's really cool. Sit back.
I didn't really say I'm gonna go be a stuntman. I wanted to go make movies. But being a stuntman was the easiest way for me to get into the business. I didn't want to be an actor because pretending to be a character. Well, being a stuntman, I was that character. I was the guy behind the illusion, creating it for the guy who's on the screen. I jumped out of that helicopter. I was in that fireball. I did whatever was being asked of the job. I've had an amazing career, and I've had an amazing life.
That's a cut.
But in the system that exists today, as I get up the ladder, I realize it's not what people think it is. It's an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It is a complete illusion.
We're gonna put our pick and our turning shift,
In 2014, I was working on a television show up in Portland, and I had a catastrophic injury. I've done this stunt, probably variations of it 20 times over my career. It was nothing. It was a small fall down into a stairwell. I did the first take fine, the second take, I knew I could do it better. I went up and I fell over the rail and I landed on the pipe down below and I burst fractured my L2 vertebrae and I was paralyzed from the waist down. When you are injured, when you are catastrophically injured and it changes who you are, I knew from that day I would never be the athlete that I once was. And I always told people as a stuntman, the worst possible injury you can get is a lower back injury. You can break your legs, your arms, whatever, but if you injure your lower back or your hips, your pelvic region, you're done. There was 2 years that I didn't think I would ever live without pain. One of the issues I was dealing with at that time was I had lost the feeling, and I still have numbness in my thighs and on this half of my pelvic region. I was going to physical therapy and the lady looks at me and she goes, "This isn't really helping you. You're way more advanced than this stuff." And I go, "Yeah, I do this every morning." She goes, "Well, what's the real issue?" I said, "The real issue is my pelvic region." And so she said, "Okay, well, there's a woman who works here and she is a pelvic floor therapist."
So how I met Mike, I met him, his spine was broken and he had partial paralyzation of his pelvic floor area. We help people when they have problems with the most important functions in your life, bowel, bladder, and sexual function.
So one day we're in the middle of therapy and she stops me and she says, "Mike, I feel like you have really dark spirits over you. Can I pray for you?" And I was like, "Pray for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, pray for me. I don't really believe in that stuff anymore, but yeah, go ahead, pray for me." So she prays for me. And I was kind of thinking while she's doing it, okay, this is weird, but okay, whatever. So for the next 2 or 3 months, I would go, and then every now and then she would stop me and she'd say, "Hey, can I pray over you?"
I was kind of a little bit disgusted with his personality because he was all about himself and money, and I think the Lord had a lot of work to do in terms of humility with him. He made it very clear that he thought I was crazy, but he let me.
After she stopped one day, and I said, "You are either 100% batshit crazy, or you think all this is real in the spirit world." And she looked at me and she said, "Michael, I am one of the only pelvic floor therapists in Southern California at the time. And when these satanic people and these evil people do their rituals to little girls and women and boys, who do you think puts them back together? I do. It's completely real, and you need to look into it."
My awakening, it didn't happen at church the way that some people find God. I just pretty much had given up my faith, and I'd given up where I was at, and I was just kind of at the point where I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have the best time I can here, and when I die, that's it. I still wasn't sure if it wasn't 100% crazy or not, but I was reading these articles and looking at these things, and I was like, you know, I've seen things at parties, I've seen artwork, I've seen statues, I've seen things in some people's houses that just seem
literally
to
starts
be
getting into the
mimicking
CIA.
the cult
It's just giving
stuff
a
I'm
backstory.
reading about. So I was like, maybe there is something to this. I'm just gonna say this. I didn't find
It needs a
God
backstory. That's it.
because I went to church. I found God because I realized that the Luciferian and the other side, the occult world, was real, and that I had been fooled
But
for all
it does
these years.
tie in a little bit of
And
the satanic stuff. And
then
CIA
got
too.
really scared.
Just it's got a whole storyline, but it's primarily.
I got
CIA.
really scared because this was the first time in my life that I was having to question my own reality. Physically, I was crushed. I wasn't going to be who I was. And spiritually, I mean, if I'm being honest, I didn't know anything about being a Christian. I mean, really. And then professionally, everything that I knew about my career, I was starting to look at in a different way. I was starting to question my career.
See, that's important.
In Hollywood from a different perspective.
It started his questioning.
So at
of
first,
everything.
I got off of social media,
It leads to his
and I made an
investigative
anonymous
work.
account. I started reading blogs, looking at articles. I started reading books. I started watching videos online. I just started searching for the truth, and I was finding accounts that were searching for the truth themselves. They weren't mainstream accounts. These were accounts online that I felt like were like me. They were just looking for what the truth was. I didn't believe I was getting the truth from CNN, MSNBC, Fox. I didn't believe any of them. I just wanted to read it, absorb it, and digest it, and trust what my gut told me I was reading. As I did my research, I began to understand there's a very small group of people that influence all the companies that we watch. So they used to call them the Big Six. But Disney just bought Fox, and Disney controls Marvel, and Disney owns Lucas Studios. So look at that giant audience right here. Say a small group of people control the narratives and the content that we all see on all the channels. It makes you feel like, oh, I have lots of choices, but you don't. Who's telling them what to put on those channels? Where does that lead?
Tonight, the FBI is on the case, and they are warning big companies in America to protect their data after a big Hollywood studio got hit by hackers and several blockbuster movies ended up online.
This is the first time the United States has accused a foreign government of a cyber attack against an American corporation.
And this interested me because I worked over at Sony quite a bit during my career, and I actually had to get LifeLock during the Sony hack, so I was curious. I was like, what was this really about? Well, the narrative put out in the public was Seth Rogen and James Franco made a movie about North Korea. And so they were mad, and so they decided to hack Sony to teach them a lesson. That was a public narrative that went out, and that's what I was like, well, that makes sense. You know, I know Seth and I know James, and they're definitely pushed the envelope of comedy, and their sense of humor is definitely their own. And I thought to myself, okay, that makes sense.
And now private emails are going public.
It's a public relations disaster.
But what I found really interesting as I examined the WikiLeaks documents was it showed that the heads of one of our biggest movie studios in America was in direct communication with very important people in our government. It didn't surprise me. I was like, okay, well, either they're friends or there's something more to it. So I never really thought about the government influencing our content or our stories. Could they be influencing our story and our content? Like, these were real questions that I never had asked myself. I just did the jobs. I went to work, I did my job, I did whatever was asked, and went home. Never thought about this stuff. So I was like, I don't really know anybody that can answer these questions. And I reached out to this guy
who I'd been watching online. His name was Kevin Shipp. And for those of you who don't know who Kevin Shipp is, he's a CIA whistleblower. He worked in counterintelligence, and he served in many capacities in his tenure at the CIA.
This is The Big Picture, an official television report to the nation from the United States Army.
It was an OSS memo, the precursor to the CIA, where they were doing a study of the use of motion pictures in America as a means of psychological warfare. So it goes all the way back to pre-1947, when U.S. intelligence was using motion pictures to alter the thinking of Americans in the United States.
The morale of our troops is high. The laughter, music, and general entertainment which comes out of a single small package like this one have helped to build that morale.
So they used this to for propaganda to go pro-war at this point.
The CIA is funneling information into Hollywood. Hollywood is putting out in the movies,
There's gotta be an
and
enemy,
the population
right? There's
believes.
always an enemy. Axes are needed.
Taxes to bury the Axis.
First Vice President Walt Disney.
This document right here is a FOIA document. Anybody in America, anybody can request this.
Instructional
Freedom of
media.
Information Act. And in the 40s, they were telling you they controlled the radio stations. They controlled most of the mainstream media. They're telling you right here that motion pictures are used as psychological warfare.
Yeah, the indoctrination.
Why
is
would they
just
stop
crazy.
doing it?
I mean,
In no
it's,
time has the
it's a
CIA
version of a
engaged in
cult.
any
The government
political
creates
activity
a
or
cult.
any intelligence activity that was not approved
The military is
at the highest level.
Alan Dulles groomed and recruited
forms of
Ian
corrupt-
Fleming, and Dulles and the CIA actually helped Fleming write his books and paint the CIA in a favorable light. And they also, Dulles helped produce Thunderball to make the CIA and agents look like honorable, cool people. The CIA actually helped him write the books and write the script for that movie. And then the president of MPAA was actually providing intelligence to the CIA as an operative in that position in Hollywood.
Mr. Fleming, in your books there's a great amount of detail. Is this detail based on personal experience? Do you make it up? Where does it come from?
Well, I can say it's 90% from personal experience, really. Of course, if I started sticking too close to the true espionage work of today, I should be in trouble with the Official Secrets Act in England, even supposing I had access to information.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of Vietnam propaganda. in
There's
this
no
too.
question about the fact that Mockingbird is real.
Really?
It started out
See, that's the
paying
stuff that I
journalists
wanna
in
see. If
major
you
media,
know
Pulitzer
where the
Prize-winning
videos are at,
journalists, to print
watch it.
fake stories that the CIA wanted in the press and fake interviews. And this was revealed in the Church Committee.
The good stuff.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
And of course, then the CIA destroyed the rest of the files, which is what they do. George H.W. Bush came out and finally made the statement about Mockingbird. Well, we're going to officially stop the Mockingbird program. The CIA will no longer pay journalists to write stories. From now on, the program is voluntary, which means Mockingbird continues today. When's the last time you've seen a mainstream media outlet do a serious investigative report on the actions of the CIA? There's a reason for that.
This would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. and we're looking at that very carefully.
You say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
Platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 There is something about the way the CIA has been functioning that is casting a shadow on our historic position of freedom, and I feel we need to correct it.
What are you talking about, Sinclair? What's that?
Senator Moynihan proposed a bill to dismantle the CIA.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Introduced it twice. The second time was 1995. Ironically, 1 year later in 1996, the CIA established the Entertainment Liaison Office, which was specifically penetrated into Hollywood, and Chase Brandon was actually co-wrote scripts. For example, The Recruit.
We're looking for high horsepower, high energy, very competitive people who are driven by patriotism and a sense of wanting to serve a greater cause.
I am recruiting you. Would I have to kill anyone? Would you like to?
So the CIA was and is in Hollywood, was and is contributing to Hollywood productions and that manipulation.
The Recruit.
Nothing is what it seems. As I started to wake up, I never actually considered that the CIA had an office in Hollywood. And I'm like, well, I see this, I see that. And I started putting feelers out, like, does anybody else see this stuff? And not many people were awake. But the one person that I reached out to was an old colleague of mine, a friend of mine named Brad Martin. And Brad and I had similar careers. We worked our way up through the business together.
I've had some weird links.
And I'm like, hey, Brad, you've seen this, you've
either.
seen that? And he's like, yeah, for sure. And so that gave me strength. That gave me like, okay, well, I'm not alone in this deal. And I'm going to keep looking.
Let me just say this. Brad's one of the greatest stuntmen I've ever met. Probably the best.
I'm a very physically creative person. I've been doing action for movies for 26, 27 years. I excelled at the action aspect of it, at the physical aspect of doing the fights and doing the gymnastics and doing the falls and doing the driving. I trained really hard and became one of the top stuntmen in the business. I started becoming a fight coordinator, and then a stunt coordinator, and then an action director. Very few people have ever gotten to where I've gotten to, and I'm super proud of what I did. I had a very idealistic view of the movie business, and I've been disillusioned a few times. It feels very much like there's an agenda in every movie. I realized that it was more of a machine, and it was more of they just needed content to put out there for the masses. I stopped really watching TV. I stopped really watching movies. And one of the reasons why I stopped watching movies is I got into my research and what's going on in the world right now, and all the corruptness and all of the plot twists of reality. And I started realizing that reality is 20 times more interesting than Hollywood. I mean, I was a Hollywood buff. I loved all of those movies, but now they're meaningless because I know what's going on right now actually has purpose and has a meaning, and there are consequences. And once this story is told on what's happening in the world right now, and all of the powers that be battling each other, it will be the greatest story ever told. Like, for instance, I saw something on History Channel talking about how the CIA helped Disney buy all the swampland in Florida. Well, why on earth would they do that?
His lawyers in charge of purchasing the parcels had served in military intelligence during World War II and knew how to keep a secret. And they used several different companies, none with Disney's name, to acquire the properties.
Now I go down this rabbit hole of what does the CIA have to do with Hollywood, or at least with Disney? Washington, D.C. is definitely in Hollywood. I have seen documents of the DoD and the CIA writing to the studio heads, guiding them in certain fashion. There's a lot of things that people would talk about that are conspiracy theory, but there's some things that ring true with me. It's like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Another program developed by the CIA after World War II was called Operation Paperclip. It's been depicted in many movies, including Disney's Marvel series.
This Operation Paperclip after World War II, SHIELD recruited German scientists with strategic value.
Thought I could help their cause.
Operation Paperclip, and this is something people need to know because it has been so covered up and mocked and berated and claimed to be a conspiracy theory. And by the way, the term labeling people as conspiracy theorists was invented by the CIA.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. The actual word conspiracy theorist was used to discredit people who were digging
attention over the JFK assassination. They invented that word as a way to shut down any scrutiny or this critical investigation of what they were doing. So they started that whole ball rolling. In terms of Operation Paperclip, it is documented. There's absolutely no question about it. Alan Dulles, CIA director, was associate of Heinrich Himmler of the Third Reich. So what Dulles proceeded to do when the Third Reich was brought down was he secretly brought all of the top Nazi scientists into the U.S.
Yep.
He falsified their files that he gave to Harry Truman, making them look like there were no war crimes.
Agreed. They won't deny it.
They brought these Nazi scientists into the CIA to work for the CIA. And that includes the human experiments they conducted on Jewish men, women, and children, and the psychological studies that these Nazi scientists had done. The CIA was using their expertise for these programs through Operation Paperclip. And this was Nazi, much of it occult beliefs that the CIA adopted and actually put these people on their payroll.
One of the programs that came out of Operation Paperclip was MKUltra. Now, MKUltra was a very complex program that dealt with human experiments and mind manipulation.
As this 1952 CIA memo says, the aim is controlling an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will, and even against such fundamental laws of nature as self-preservation.
In the Church Committee, MKUltra came out as an actual program of mind control using mental, physical, and sexual abuse and psychotropic drugs.
Long run, they used us.
Lysergic acid diethylamide, LSD.
They did such a good job.
One of the first times that anybody had run into a powerful drug that was different than anything else that they knew anything about.
A decision was made at the highest levels of the CIA to do testing on unwitting Americans.
At Ravenscraig, Dr. Cameron went further with drugs and electric shock treatments than any researchers in the MKUltra project dared. His aim was to wipe the mind clean. Then he would implant new messages by forcing the patient to listen to a hypnotic repetition as many as 250,000 times. This was called psychic driving.
He would give the patient intensive electric treatment. He would attempt to implant new ideas in the mind of the patient.
Now, to a layman, it would appear that Dr. Cameron was trying to take the slate and wipe it clean. The slate being the mind. In other words, brainwashing.
Exactly, that's a very good comparison.
Brainwashing.
Yes, to that.
No. Good heavens.
You're doing fine, just try to describe it.
Oh, you don't know. You want to give yourself. You want to give yourself surgery.
How do you feel inside?
inside. I'm really inside.
Nobody explained it to me. Nobody ever asked me if I was willing to do it or anything.
They put me on sleep treatment. And they kept you asleep for 23 days. And while I was asleep, they were shocking the heck out of me with electric shocks and playing tapes.
MK Ultra is something I don't know much about.
It was really like a concentration camp.
Why talk pure letters? You mind if I look this way? You look that way. Nothing for you to watch here, but you're going to talk to me as we go along.
They couldn't go any further because CIA Director Richard Helms destroyed all the CIA's MK Ultra documents, and they had to rely on coached witnesses. So they were never able to dig even deeper. What they got was bad enough. It was never terminated. There's no evidence that it was ever terminated. No documents, no nothing, and not even an admission by the CIA that it's been terminated.
How do you feel?
I'm feeling better, thank you.
Feeling better? Are you sleeping well?
Yes, I'm sleeping better now.
We could disable a whole city by putting a very small amount on a water supply. After all of these years of us, those of us who are involved in looking for this secret drug, this was the only thing that began to look for the first time like it might be something like that.
So MK Ultra was one of the hardest programs for me to wrap my head around because it's a lot of subset programs. And I was really surprised that Brad Martin knew about MK Ultra.
People think that research people are crazy for talking about MK Ultra, mind control. Even if they acknowledge that that existed, they go, oh, well, that ended in the 70s. That's a crock of shit.
And perhaps the world's only hope of stopping a sinister assassination plot.
The movie that I did involving that topic was Zoolander.
The fashion industry has been behind every major political assassination over the last 200 years.
I mean, at the time, I was making a comedy and I had no idea what I was involved with. But now looking back on the movie, I'm blown away at just the propaganda.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
In a movie like Zoolander, when they're showing you that they're controlling Derek Zoolander's mind through mind control, you realize that they're trying to desensitize you and to make you think that what you're watching is fiction because it's in a comedy.
It's like a mass MK Ultra now. Their purpose is to capture the minds of the people and feed them false history. The CIA is funneling information into Hollywood. Hollywood is putting out in the movies, and the population believes it.
All right, so look, here's the deal. They have been desensitizing us since we were born, and I'll give you some examples. Let's start with the big one. Let's start with words we hear all the time and never even think about. Let's start with the word entertainment. To entertain. What does that mean? To bind or hold. To bind or hold what? An audience's attention. Okay, now let's take the word Hollywood. Where does that come from? Well, Hollywood comes from the holly tree. And the ancient Druids, back in the day, used to take the holly tree, make wands to weave spells, cast spells, or channel spells. And when they needed help, they would consult the Magi's or the mediums of the day to help channel their spells to the population. We'll cut to today. What do we have in our houses? We have these black boxes. What are they called? TVs. But if you stop and you say the word television, and when you turn on that television, what do you get? What's the first thing that pops up?
Clever.
A list of channels.
Very clever.
And when you turn on those channels, what's on those channels? Programming. They are programming you. They've been programming your whole life. You don't even know it. They do it with your music. They do it with your TV. They do it with your movies. They do it with your games. They have been programming us and programming you since you were little, and you don't even know it because you don't even question it.
It's very similar to the like the food pyramid, right? We were brought up with the food pyramid. right? Eating healthy. Like, we're supposed to be eating lots of grains and all that good stuff. And that's a lie. It's just, yeah, 40% bread pasta. Like, that's a complete lie. Any other examples that you can think of? This is what comes to mind, like, immediately. Our diet, what they tell us. I have an amazing video that I found on Twitter that I'm probably going to jump into after this one. I'm not going to do the full length because at the very end it kind of switches topics, but probably another 10 minutes on this one.
Starting in 1900, we entered a previously unimaginable time of modern technology. Advances that allowed the rulers of this world to construct and direct our stories in ways we previously never imagined. As a result, new techniques to control the population were realized. These are the people from the companies that we have trusted to deliver us our news and tell our stories. This has always been about controlling what we as the population think and hear. They help create our culture and influence our society. We as citizens only trust them because as a society, we think that the gatekeepers have our best interest in mind.
The dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts, and it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job. That is our job. That is our job. Our job.
As I was researching, I found that most of the early communication companies were developed for shipping or aviation. And a lot of the men that started these companies were commissioned by the military during World War I and World War II. Many of these men worked for the Army and Navy intelligence services along with the OSS, which we know became the CIA. There were many examples of these men becoming the heads or founders of some of the biggest motion picture and media companies before and after their government or military service. I wanted to know how many of the media companies in today's world connected back to Washington. So I started looking. It was like a family tree. The connections between our government personnel and the media corporations was unbelievable.
Just started streaming,
Google, Amazon, Netflix, Twitter, CNN, ABC. So what would happen if all these companies had the same political ideology or agenda? We as this population like to hear people confirm our confirmation biases. We like to hear people tell us that we're right. We don't like to be wrong. And we believe that the people on the media and the people that we're listening to have our best interests in mind. The problem is what if they don't? So if you stop and think about it, they can place any agenda on the population that they choose.
I think that Hollywood is teaching bad morals to the youth of this country as well as adults. Desensitizing of violence to the masses. You can't deny that. My kids have seen so many people get killed in very violent ways.
3 times as much gun violence now.
And the sex that's in PG-13 movies.
Why?
Every Disney movie, there's a major character, usually a parent, that gets killed. Trauma to the child. Why? It's so horrible. What a bad story. Why do you need to start a story with a parent dying? Always. It's so sad.
Under MK Ultra, they experimented on children. We were even taught this in psychophysiology program that if you get to a child between ages 1 and 6 or 1 or 8, especially with sexual abuse or sexual trauma, you will split their personality and they will be imprinted the rest of their life. And many times that results in split personalities and dissociative behavior and other things.
These occult topics are being introduced to our kids, and most parents aren't even aware of it.
We are desensitized.
So the biggest surge with this occult type material took place in the late 60s and the early 70s with movies like The Exorcist, Amityville Horror, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, and Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. And coincidentally, this same time period, it parallels the rise of the Church of Satan in Los Angeles, and it was founded by a guy named Anton LaVey.
So it is done.
When I was a police officer, we had cases of satanic cults right in Arlington, Virginia. Those have been around for decades. They're in the high schools, they're in the colleges, they're in the government, and they're in Hollywood.
I got to meet people like Sammy Davis and that kind of shit. Sammy told me he worshiped the devil. Sammy was like, you know, Satan is as powerful as God. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He says, why do you think there's so much anger in the world and killing and murder and Satan? And he saw my reaction to it, and he kind of lightened up on it. And he was like, and downtown it's dark, and it's the candles on the table, and Sammy's face over the candle. You know, Satan is as powerful as God.
From our point of view, it really makes no difference whether you pray to a father god, or to a mother goddess, or to an entire gaggle of gods and goddesses.
Michael Aquino was a high-level officer in the National Security Agency. He was and is, you'll see him today, a practicing Satanist. He created the Satanic Temple of Set, which he still runs. He was a high-level NSA officer. He's a member of the association I used to be in, the Association of Former Intelligence Officers, AFIO. He's a member of that. He's plugged in big time to the intelligence community, and he wrote a paper called Mind War. And Mind War was about psychological operations against populations, including the American, the domestic population, using Satanist techniques and tools.
Aquino was first involved in MK-Ultra operations during the Vietnam War as part of the Phoenix program.
Well, first, I've been involved in intelligence and psychological operations for about 40 years in all levels of it and across the intelligence community.
You are a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army.
Correct.
Now, and how does the Army feel about you being head of the Temple of Set?
The Army has known about my religion for the entire span of my Army career, which began in 1968. The Army has paid very little attention to it, the same as it would to anybody who was, say, a follower of Hinduism or of Buddhism or any other slightly unusual religion.
He was occupied a position at the Presidio, which was a training facility for the U.S. government, and it was uncovered that he was running a pedophile ring. I think 50 kids came out and fingered him as the guy that had done sexual acts on them as children. It went to trial. He walked from the trial successfully because he had a good attorney, despite the fact that there were multiple witnesses that said Aquino, through satanic rituals, had abused them as children. There's no question that he's a practicing Satanist. Just watch any one of his interviews.
On this altar is one of a number of daggers, which we may use in our rituals. This one happened to belong to the commanding general of the most elite unit of Germany's infamous SS, which was concerned with black magic and occultism research in general. Anything that it could find that had to do with the origins of the human race, destiny of humanity.
The perverted view of the occult held by Heinrich Himmler was of an evil magic that could help create a new master race. Wewelsburg Castle is where he performed his ceremonies.
I have been to the Wewelsburg, which still preserves Heinrich Himmler's ritual chambers to this day, and have conducted a black magical ritual in the so-called Hall of the Dead beneath the Wewelsburg. This particular dagger is inscribed to our comrade in the Leibstandarte Theodor Wisch, Brigadeführer, a major general in the Waffen-SS. And on its blade, it bears the inscription, Mein Ehre heißt Treu, or my honor shall be known by my faithfulness.
Aquino's thesis stated that enemy populations could be subdued by inflicting a state of psychological terror and feelings of imminent destruction. He discusses the use of psychotronic weapons and electromagnetic weapons that influence the mind. by extremely low-frequency signals piggybacked on broadcasts of radio, TV, or microwave communications in order to influence and manipulate the thoughts and feelings of the target population. These ongoing MKUltra operations are functioning as a counterinsurgency and infiltration operation aimed at destabilizing the United States and other industrialized nations.
I give the CIA a total credit for sponsoring and initiating the entire consciousness movement, counterculture events of the 1960s.
History will judge the role of the CIA and other intelligence agencies in unwittingly contributing to the counterculture of the 60s through their intense interest in LSD and other hallucinogenics. But for the moment at least, the argument can be made that the CIA helped usher in the age of Aquarius.
Laurel Canyon was the epitome of the summer of love. I mean, we saw the possibility of a way we could live.
It's odd because in Laurel Canyon, so many of the soon-to-be stars there, their parents were in either the military-industrial complex or intelligence or the Pentagon. In Frank Zappa's case, his dad was working at Edgewood Arsenal, where they were doing biochem studies, psychotropic, and exposing U.S. troops to VX nerve gas and other things. The family kept gas masks in their house. He grew up with that in case there was an accident. And Edgewood Arsenal was doing this very similar, related MKUltra projects on U.S. troops. The Gulf of Tonkin is another prime example. The commander of the Gulf Fleet in the Gulf of Tonkin, his son was Jim Morrison. They claimed the USS Maddox was attacked by Vietnamese vessels. It was never attacked. As a matter of fact, they put ghost ships on the radar to make it look like they were Vietnamese ships. The Maddox was never attacked. It was an actual, literal false flag to enable the U.S. to declare war on Vietnam.
That's someone in the CIA that just said that.
So Jim Morrison's dad was involved in the false flag of the Gulf of
Tonkin. That's some
Tonkin.
random guy.
After talking to Kevin, I started looking into Laurel Canyon. I drove down Laurel Canyon to Hollywood almost daily when I first moved out there, and I never knew that there was an old Air Force base called Lookout Mountain U.S. Air Force Base at the top of Laurel Canyon. And what's funny is, if you do the history of it, it's owned today by a guy named Jared Leto.
Another tactic developed out of the MKUltra project was the use of compromise and control via honeypots.
The decision was made to do testing on unwitting victims. It was decided they should be on the fringes of society because they were most vulnerable.
We did quite a study of prostitutes in their...
Anyways, I'm going to stop it here because it takes a twist and turn about CIA to pretty much to current politics, which that's another topic, but this I think gave a pretty good overview of the connection between CIA and Hollywood, which is not really known. I have a really interesting video right now, and it's regarding biowarfare, and it is the vaccines and how diseases originate. So I'm going to change the title here, and then I'm going to bring over this video. This is very interesting. Okay, so for this one, let me change the title. This is COVID-19 discussion. And origins of diseases vaccines. Okay. All right. So this is a doctor a very, very prominent, high-up doctor and working in specialty of vaccines. And this was years ago, probably in the early 90s, where he is talking in front of an audience. I haven't watched all of it. I've watched the first 10-15 minutes of it. I thought this is very impactful. It helps explain the reasons every 2 years there's something new that comes out, because it's not always generated from natural causes. It's pretty much the government that's doing this. So we're going to play this video. So it's
let me just share with you quickly
Leonard
how I got
Horowitz.
started. You would never imagine this. In 1982, when I was finishing up my Harvard Master's in Public Health, and I was asked, would I like to participate in educating gay folks and others about this thing called gay-related immune deficiency. This was before it was called AIDS. And I said, nah, I don't want to deal with that disease at all. I don't want to think about that at all. Here I am, 15 years later, 16 years later, and what am I doing? Traveling around the world, telling people about the man-made origins of AIDS and Ebola. I was working over here. My favorite area of research and teaching was in self-care, healthy human development, motivational psychology, teaching people, like Danny does, how to take better care of themselves, boost their immune systems. So I was really into that. I love that. That's my favorite thing. And one day, kind of like the miracle happened, where there was a crisis, and I was the right person at the right time. It was the 1990, July 27th. 1990, when the case of the Florida dental AIDS tragedy hit the press. You remember the case of the Florida dentist who infected his patients with the AIDS virus? And 3 years, at that time, I was serving as the world's leading dental and medical catalog supply company's chief professional advisor. And my background was in media, health education, health promotion, fear, because I worked on dental phobia reduction therapy programs, behavioral therapy programs to allay people's fear going to dentists. And I had been a dentist for 16 years, and health education and media, persuasion, technologies. And here the media was making so many people afraid to go see their dentist in the wake of this case. So I was asked, I was told, I was given the job, opportunity to develop patient educational literature to help allay people's fear of going into dental medical practices. So I started to research. The Centers for Disease Control's official investigation reports in the case, I first found them to be scientifically questionable. I then found them to be scientifically bogus, and then later found them to be fraudulent. They had literally covered up, deleted the most incriminating evidence against the dentist, who I had to conclude after 3 years of studying this case and publishing 3 scientific reports, literally having to go out of the United States to publish, because the American Dental Association, American Medical Association wanted to maintain a cover-up. And I wrote a book that was based on those 3 scientific reports called Deadly Innocence, my 9th book, wherein I had to conclude that the dentist, based on all the evidence, using the FBI's own behavioral science literature, how they themselves investigate and evaluate these types of cases, that this dentist, scientifically trained, military dentist for much of his career, very intelligent dentist, believed that he was dying of a virus that the government had created. They covered that up. He believed that they had intentionally injected this virus during a 1978 experimental hepatitis B vaccine that was given to a lover of his that he had in 1985. And that's how he got infected. And he believed that this was genocide. And he believed in what was called the World Health Organization theory of AIDS. The videotape that Danny stated he saw, the Strecker Memorandum, was what Dr. David Acker believed. That the World Health Organization, the United States Public Health Service, Centers for Disease Control had something to do with the development of these types of viruses and the deployment of them through hepatitis B and other vaccines in Africa and North America. In essence, I have to conclude at the end of that case that the dentist most plausibly was identical to an organized serial killer. He maintained a classic organized serial killer personality. You know, like the Unabomber? These people, they all, according to the FBI, kill for the sake of power, control, and revenge. Revenge being the major theme. And the principal issue, his principal vendetta, was screaming loud and clear in the legal testimonies. It was against the federal government. In essence, I concluded that he created a crime. He did what all organized serial killers love to do. They manipulate the authorities into catch-22s. The Unabomber, he publishes his manifesto in the New York Times, Washington Post, says, here's what I believe, you try to get me. David Acker, the Florida dentist, was virtually identical to this. In essence, he created a crime, a mystery that could not be solved without implicating the government. Because if they told the truth, if they said he was an organized serial killer, then the whole world would want to know motive. And the motive was screaming loud and clear in the legal testimony, which they buried. So, there was one document, however, that came along with that videotape called the Strecker Memorandum that Strecker sent to David Acker. And it was the most horrifying document I had ever seen. It was a 1970 Department of Defense appropriations request for $10 million for a 5-year study to develop immune system ravaging microorganisms for germ warfare.
Did you hear that? Let me repeat that.
Request for $10 million for a 5-year study to develop immune system ravaging microorganisms for germ warfare.
Crazy.
And it said right in this document that the National Academy of Sciences, National Research Council, the most esteemed of all health science agencies in America, not only informed the Department of Defense that, quote, over the next 5 to 10 years it will be possible to make a new infective microorganism that could differ in certain important aspects from any known disease-causing microorganism. And most important of these is that it would be refractory to the immunologic and therapeutic processes upon which we depend to maintain our relative freedom from infectious diseases. End quote. And they not only told the Department of Defense that, this esteemed health science agency, but that it would cost them $2 million a year over 5 years to do it, but that they would help them to do it. So I believed our government at the time was not particularly trustworthy, but you know, I could not imagine that this document was legitimate. I lived in denial, like most people, most Americans, most people worldwide are living in denial today because they are so brainwashed, they are brain dead. I lived in denial just like that. I said, okay, I've heard some weird things, but here I'm looking at this, and it looks legitimate. So what do? All I know now is I've got the World Health Organization theory, and I've got this document. I know perhaps maybe if this document is legitimate, and indeed it was. In fact, what they were looking for specifically was in the congressional record. This was in the congressional record. They were looking for a, quote, super germ, end quote. That word was in the congressional record. That could wipe out the human being's immune system, the defense system against infectious diseases, leaving us, human beings, susceptible to the opportunistic infections like tuberculosis, like candidiasis, like yeast infections, like pneumonia, and like cancers. So this is what they're looking at. So ultimately, what did I do? I went back to Harvard's Countway Medical Library, where I did most of my postdoctoral research. And I go to the World Health Organization Chronicle files, and where do I begin? I start in 1965. Why? I figure, well, if the money maybe kicked in 1970, let me go 5 years before that and 5 years after that. And so I start by pulling World Health Organization Chronicle, their monthly journal, off the shelves, and I begin to read. What are they involved in? And I was surprised, as a public health professional who, over the previous 5 years, had 4 times presented scientific papers at the American Dental Public Health Association meeting, I knew very little about the World Health Organization. Astonishing. I found out that this was like the godfather to the pharmaceutical industry. That they create the standards upon which the pharmaceuticals and the drugs, including the vaccines, are based. And they largely, I learned, help to determine which drugs remain legal and which ones would be illegal. took me a while before I learned that this organization was largely controlled by the Rockefellers. But you see, by 1965, they had already had about 5 to 7 years under their belt in what was called the Virus Cancer Research Network. They were developing a cancer virus research network. And that by 1970, they reported that they had isolated well over 70,000 different strains of viruses. And when they said, quote, isolated, unquote, it took me another few weeks and months before I learned that what they really meant to say was mutated, recombined, hybridized isolates. And that by 1970, they reported having distributed these 70,000 different strains of viruses to well over 500 research laboratories throughout the world. And among their principal distributors of these viruses was none other than the National Cancer Institute in Bethesda and the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta.
CDC.
And you see, when I saw that it was the National Cancer Institute in Bethesda, a red flag came up for me. If you folks want to dim the light or turn this light off, just if that's not too much of a problem, just for a couple minutes while I talk about a little bit of the slides. You see, this is the home of the infamous Dr. Robert Gallo, who allegedly discovered the AIDS virus in 1984. You remember this? This was what prompted the French-American AIDS fracas. It was turned out that within weeks of Dr. Robert Gallo and Margaret Heckler announcing Dr. Gallo's find, a feather in the cap of American medicine, doctor at the National Cancer Institute, Dr. Robert Gallo, discovered the cause of AIDS. It's a virus. Then the United States patented everything having to do with AIDS virus research and testing. And then France ended up suing the United States when shortly thereafter was determined that Gallo stole Luc Montagnier's virus from France, and France ended up suing the United States. It was resolved about a couple years ago when, around the same time, President Clinton pardoned Robert Gallo for scientific misconduct. On another unrelated matter, whenever does a president of the United States pardon a health scientist? That's a little weird. But it happened to be the 4th time in 3 decades that Dr. Robert Gallo had been investigated for scientific misconduct and or fraud and had escaped, gotten off. So I immediately began to suspect Dr. Robert Gallo. I said, well, maybe I should go see what Robert Gallo was doing between 1965 and 1975. And so I go back and I look up Gallo in Index Medicus, Harvard's County Medical Library. And what you see here is one of 6 pages. It's called the Scientific Literature Review that I've reprinted in the book Emerging Viruses, AIDS, and Ebola, where there was nothing in 65 that Gallo published. There was nothing in 66, 67. There were 2 publications. 68, there were 4. 69, there were 2. 70, there were 3. And 71, there were 8.
Into current day.
Aha, just a coincidence, you see, that as the money kicked in for the Department of Defense, Robert Gallo's laboratory output more than doubled. Coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. And I began to read. And what were these people writing? Well, they were studying things that are very suspicious indeed. Here, this is from the journal Nature. By the way, because of what I am telling you, you also know to be so unbelievable the concept that the United States government had something to do with the development of immune system ravaging viruses, AIDS virus, Ebola virus, that most people can't believe this. See, as a behavioral scientist, as a behavioral science expert, I knew most human beings who evolved, who developed because of loving parents who instilled ethics and morals and values could not conceive of this level of evil, that they would never believe it. If you leave here today, I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 people that you speak and you tell them about this, you will see a window shade of disbelief come across their eyes, and you know you're no longer talking to a human being with ears.
True.
And so, knowing that ahead of time, as a behavioral science expert, I said, I got to reprint the most incriminating documents so that it is totally there. It is no question. And so, this is one of numerous documents that you see reprinted in the book, Emerging Viruses, AIDS, and Ebola, where this is from the journal Nature, 1970. And you see Robert C. Gallo from the National Cancer Institute. You see Robert C. Ting from Bionetics Research Labs, Bethesda, Maryland. And it turned out that about a third of what Dr. Robert Gallo published, he published with Bionetics researchers. Have you ever heard of Litton Industries, folks? You know, Litton has, L-I-T-T-O-N, they have microwave ovens. A lot of people know them from their microwave ovens. But besides microwave ovens, they're a highly diversified company. They're heavily involved. Interestingly enough, they are among always the leading military weapons contractors for the world. And they had a subsidiary, a medical subsidiary called Litton Bionetics Research Labs, which was a documented biological weapons contractor. And you see that Dr. Robert Gallo, about a third of 25% to 30% of what he published, co-authored with these people. Now here what they're studying, without getting too technical, is an enzyme called reverse transcriptase. It's actually, the technical name is RNA-dependent DNA polymerase of human acute leukemic cells. That is a unique enzyme.
You lost me. What?
Called reverse transcriptase. It calls for life to operate in reverse, this enzyme does. What in God's universe calls for life to operate in reverse? Something satanic, in my opinion, don't you think? Well, you see, that's exactly what this enzyme does. You see, typically, God created everything in the universe, in particular life, all forms of life, to operate out of the same unique, magnificent system designed to perfection beyond the reaches of the wildest imaginations. And it's all based, he created this thing called DNA, the blueprint of life, the code. And you see, in God's magnificent cells and tissues, what it calls for is that DNA is to be taken, and from DNA, this blueprint, new RNA is created, which then serves to bring and establish proteins, amino acids and proteins to the protein manufacturing station of the cell called the ribosome. And it is here where proteins are built, new cell parts are built, and new cells, healthy, happy cells evolve.
Again, if you're seeing me for the first time,
so it goes, the God's magnificent system goes, DNA.
Brand new to streaming. Appreciate any and all follows at this point. I'm going to be doing gaming, and also I think these videos of not necessarily conspiracy theories, but just truth videos, to bring videos that are not popular or topics people aren't aware of, just to get people awake. We're just a bunch of sheep, and I love giving people knowledge and information they weren't aware of. And if you ever have any videos of that you want to share, just whisper me some videos. Be happy to look at them and see if we can get those played on stream. But yeah, any follows are greatly appreciated, and I do appreciate you joining me. And just chat if you want to talk. That'd be cool. I'll pause the video at any point. We can chat.
To RNA, to new proteins, to new cell parts, to new life. This enzyme says, we're not going to have that anymore. We're going to go backwards. We're going to take a single strand of RNA that the virus is going to present. And because of the presence of this unique reverse transcriptase, a new DNA strand gets created. It's called a DNA provirus. And because of the presence of another very interesting enzyme, it's called an endonuclease. It's like a scissors. It cuts open God's magnificent code for life, and it allows this new DNA strand to get inserted, so that now when the perfect cell begins to read this code, this message for how to create new life, it gets fooled. It calls for the production of more viruses instead of healthy cell parts. And that these viruses butt off the cells. And because of these unique proteins on the outside membrane, they're called GP120-like proteins, like little balls here, you see? Through lock and key fashion, they seek out other cells, CD4 helper cells, T lymphocytes, the quarterbacks of the immune system. And they attach to these and they continue this process. Now, this is being done by Robert Gallo and his associates from Bionetics Research, and they're studying this in a data delivered as a political message. Therefore, it becomes bogus science. Garbage. This is what they do. They take it out of protein manufacturing station of the cell called the ribosome.
Hang on right here.
And that these viruses butt off the cells. And because of these unique proteins on the outside membrane, they're called GP120-like proteins, like little balls here, you see? Through lock and key fashion, they seek out other cells, CD4 helper cells, T lymphocytes, the quarterbacks of the immune system. And they attach to these and they continue this process. Now, this is being done by Robert Gallo and his associates from Bionetics Research, and they're studying this in human acute, that's quick-acting leukemia cells. This is in 1970, folks. This is 14 years before this man allegedly discovered the first AIDS virus. This is the enzyme that makes the AIDS virus tick. This is also the enzyme that makes the leukemia virus work. And this is 9 years before this man allegedly discovered the first leukemia virus, HTLV1. And, as I said, his co-authors from Lytton Bionetics just happened to be 6th on the list of major Army biological weapons contractors at that time. This is directly from the United States Congressional Record. And as you see also, for those sitting in front and highlighted in yellow, is the New York University Medical Center. Remember that. I'm going to come back to that. There will be a quiz at the end of this program. And those who fail the quiz, it may cost you your life, literally. So, what else were they doing? And eminent experts in monkey cancer virus research. And what they were doing in not only monkeys, but primates, man as well, was they were taking these viruses that they knew would cause cancer. For example, they took woolly monkey viruses and rhesus monkey viruses, including this thing called SV40, simian virus 40. It was the 40th monkey virus ever discovered. And you see, this virus was discovered by a really wonderful human being, a wonderful woman by the name of Bernice Eddy. She found it in the Salk and Sabin polio vaccines. Late 50s, early 60s. She inoculated this vaccine containing SV40 into virtually every animal, and the animals started to die. She inoculated a dozen monkeys with these. All monkeys keeled over, paralyzed or dead. She took photographs. She presented the photographs to the National Institute of Health director, who confiscated the photos and then proceeded to demote and defund this woman. Took her 10 years before she struggled in a crusade to get to Congress. And in front of Congress, she said to the congressman, 1972, she says, if you continue to allow these contaminated vaccines to go out, I guarantee you over the next 20 years, you will have epidemics of cancer unlike the world has ever seen. It's come to pass, hasn't it? They didn't listen to her. But you see that this particular virus, I want you to know a horrifying reality for your health and for your children's lives, that this particular virus, to this very day, contaminates the oral polio vaccine that we are allegedly by law required to give our children. In fact, your FDA has to turn a blind eye to as many as 100 simian monkey virus contaminants per dose that we are allegedly by law required to give our kids. And you know why they don't tell you? They can't even tell health scientists the truth. So physicians never know, and the public never gets a clue. The reason that they don't tell you is their hands are tied by proprietary laws and non-disclosure agreements placed upon them by the pharmaceutical companies. They are muzzled by the drug makers. So they were taking this end. They took this virus, they took a number of other viruses, and they took human lymphoma viruses that they knew would cause cancer of the lymph nodes. And they began to recombine these with virtually every animal cancer virus known. Their favorite ones to work with was the feline leukemia virus RNA. This caused a whole laundry list of symptoms virtually identical to what AIDS patients suffer from. By the way, if you're a cat lover out there and you've lost cats to feline leukemia, sorry to tell you that the experts at the time said also, feline leukemia is man-made. They were recombining cat and human viruses, and they were doing all sorts of bizarre things. They also, their other favorite one to take was chicken leukemia sarcoma virus RNA. That caused wasting immunosuppression and death. And so you see when they were around here with this mutant hybrid, in order to get this to jump species into humans, it still needed another major mutation. To get it to jump species